What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be generating some infographics using ChatGPT. So with ChatGPT 4o, I've been creating images, I've been creating icons, all sorts of different graphics, advertisements. And one of the things I've been working with is trying to create infographics, which I've created some good ones, but there's definitely some limitations here. So I'll show you some of the things that I have seen work and some of the things that just aren't quite working yet. So I wanted to start by doing an example where it's like ChatGPT basically creates everything from start to finish, from the information that goes on the infographic all the way to the infographic itself. So I did what are 5 best practices with Google Ads responsive search ads. One of the cool things about this, they pulled from some different sources as far as like what are the best practices. Don't really love the way they write. I've never really liked the way ChatGPT writes, but you could see we have 5 different best practices, overall good ones. This was really cool to me. They actually recommended my video on YouTube. So I was like, I probably should update this video and make sure I keep all of my content up to date so I can keep getting actually recommended by some of these agents. So let's keep coming down here. I did using the information you know about responsive search ads. Can you create a helpful infographic about responsive search ads with 5 best practices, 1 corresponding flat icon image for each best practice? So they came up with some icon images here, and then we have best practices down here, icon tip. Basically, they put it together into an article, recommended a different video. So obviously I need to update mine. So I'm the only video that's recommended here, but you'll see, can you please create a responsive search ads infographic? Did the same thing again, and they actually created it this time. So you could see 5 best practices for Google Ads, responsive search ads. This one came out pretty good overall, but they only showed 4 of them. So I could pretty much just go in here and update this 5 to a 4 and it would be perfectly fine. So not a bad infographic. I probably should have done this for my final example, but I'll show you my final example at the very end of this. So overall, not a bad infographic going from start to finish. I didn't see many errors on this. So most of the text looked pretty good, not misspelled or anything like that. A lot of them will still have some errors on them. I did also think that the overall icons were pretty good. So diversify your headlines and description. So that's good. Ensure each headline description offers unique value. So a little light bulb always kind of works. Key for keywords, and then pinning. We have like a pin and a graph here. So pretty good icons overall. Just the only really issue here is the 5. So this was actually one of the better ones I created. And what I learned is over time, trying to develop infographic or create infographics with ChatGPT is basically trying to do too much with one infographic. You just see it kind of go off the rails a little bit. So I'll show a few examples. Next, I want to do 7 AI marketing best practices. This one I did a really long prompt. So I actually got part of the prompt using Claude. So I went into Claude.ai. You could also use ChatGPT and basically just said, can you create a prompt for my infographic? I want it to be professional. I want it to have these colors. I want it to use these types of text, these types of fonts. So whatever you want to use, you can actually give a full detailed description for the infographic. 7 AI marketing best practices to include. So we got all of this information here. Header and footer, create an eye-catching header titled 7 AI marketing best practices. You can see this was all basically a prompt from Claude. So a very, very long prompt. They came up with this whole basically like an outline of what we're creating. So then they asked me, I say they as, then ChatGPT asked me, I can now generate this infographic as an image. I said, yes, please do. Take your time, make sure text doesn't get cut off. Overall, this one came out pretty good. They did analytics and reporting twice. This would be a pretty easy thing to fix using Canva or really any graphics program. Everything else looked pretty good. I like the customer experience, paid advertising. This looks good overall. Content creation looked good. Didn't really see any major issues outside of putting analytics and reporting twice, but for getting this in all 5 minutes, pretty good. It would take me much longer to create a graphic like this. It would take me a lot longer to find even icons that all match and look good. I would say the most impressive thing for the infographic generation on ChatGPT is, well, first, that the text is actually mostly right. And second is that the icons actually match, because that's one of the things that I've always had trouble with. You can get icon packs and download them and use similar icons, but to be able to actually generate these icons pretty quickly, have some unique icons that probably aren't seen most other places. Overall, it's a really good infographic for number 2. We'll start to see some errors as we get further along here. So this one I did 5 Google Ads best practices. This one actually came out pretty good. 5 Google Ads best practices. The only real issue is they only numbered 1, 2, and 5. This is one I ended up editing and creating a new version of. So we did it again, and this one just cut it off. This is one of the biggest issues I've seen is if you give too much information to ChatGPT, like a ton of text to print, it usually cuts off the end graphic. So you always have to keep that in mind. It's going to be very hard to create an infographic with a lot of information on it and get every single piece right. So your best bet is almost having something where it's like create a document using this information, and it will be able to create something that looks a little more like this, and then you can put in your own icons. If you're looking for something informational like that, try to do this again. Can you create a new infographic, please? Take your time, create a similar design to the infographic attached, make sure all the text is printed on the infographic and not cut off. So we did this one yet again, important notes, text on the infographic, and we got pretty good overall this one. Same thing, 1, 3, and 5. I don't know why it doesn't want to do 2 and 3, and it could have easily included all the icons on the right or just done no icons for these two. So similar, we actually got Surfside PPC at the bottom of this one. Overall, good infographic based on the amount of information I'm asking for. And honestly, the icons that they choose are always really impressive to me because these icons are all pretty relevant for exactly what I put. So next one, what are 7 AI marketing tips for different aspects of digital marketing strategy? So we got 7 tips. And then I said, I want them turned into a visual guide. They actually asked me, do you want these turned into a visual guide, checklist, or email content? Want them turned into a visual guide, please. And we just got cut off. And some of the text didn't look that great either. So this one, I think it's just asking for way too much text. So the more text that you ask for, the harder it's going to be to actually do it correctly. It's also not, the greatest design overall, pretty basic design with a lot of information. This is something that would be easier to probably just create in Canva, doing pretty quickly, just copy and paste all the information, update some of the ways that design looks. So this one really didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And I would say my biggest takeaway from this is just too much text causes issues when generating infographics with ChatGPT as of right now. I do think that's something that they'll probably improve as they continue to develop this tool. Next up is going to be trying to do the 7 ways to leverage AI in marketing again, a really long prompt. So this was a prompt that I actually went into Claude and had them improve my prompt slightly. So if you're ever looking to improve a prompt, basically say I'm looking to get an infographic created. These, I'm looking for it to look like this. Here's the text I want on it. Can you do a prompt so that we can actually create a really nice infographic? So this is a very, very long prompt here. And then we ended up getting a pretty nice looking infographic. Still some errors when you look at some of the text that's here. The overall design I actually really liked. So this is something. What I would do in this case is basically, first off, probably try to use a little bit less text. I really like the paid advertising one here, just not, there's still errors with some of the text, but I really like this where you have like icon, you have the top portion here, you have like a quick little blurb, you have a description, and you have a pro tip. If I could create all of these like that and have a bunch of different ones, that would be pretty awesome. And what I would probably do in this case is take something like this, just screenshot it, and you could ask for, I want a content creation version similar to this, and then basically just put together the design at the end. So you can get a bunch of different graphics created, open up Canva, and just kind of put these all together into your own infographic. That would be one way to go about it. Might not be perfect, but overall you'd get a better end result than trying to do too much on one specific design. So next up, let's do, this is honestly where I've seen the most success with the infographics. And I've done a bunch of these. I only did a few examples in this video, but create an infographic that explains photosynthesis to 5-year-olds. This is perfect. Photosynthesis, sunlight, carbon dioxide, oxygen, sugar. If you look, I was like, let's just see if I could find this where it was. Yeah, so I was like, let me just see if I do, how does photosynthesis work? I did photosynthesis, infographics. Pretty much they recreated a very basic version of this graphic here. So this is process of photosynthesis, sunlight, carbon dioxide, oxygen, sugars, water. So pretty good overall infographic for a quick design that we had there, or a quick prompt, that we had there, and got a really nice design. So if you're somebody who's putting together educational content for kids, great use case. You could easily put together a ton of guides and just basically say, okay, I'm going to do one per day. We'll do a photosynthesis video, we'll do a photosynthesis image, and we will do a full blog post about how does photosynthesis works. Over time, you do 200 of these, you create a YouTube channel, you create a website, you could definitely get some traffic and get some people interested in your content. Hard part might be monetizing it, but overall, pretty quick and easy way to create this. Next one, what I wanted to try to do is take a template that I found online. So it's just a Canva infographic template, scientific method. And I was like, okay, I like this overall design. So I was like, what if I do an infographic in the style attached, but with a blue marketing theme instead of a purple science theme? Please update icons so they are marketing and advertising icons. It should contain the following text. So I think the issue that I have here is I asked for just a little bit too much in terms of changes. This is one I just could not get to work right. I tried it about 15 times. So I would say for this, it's still not perfect to say I want something in this exact template, and I'll show you a few more examples, but you'll see we have the 6 different steps that we have. So I did 6 steps, same thing they had here. I said replace scientific method with Google Ads guide, and I said replace reallyGreatSite.com, the very bottom here, kind of small, probably hard to see, with SurfsidePPC.com. So this is what we ended up getting. So obviously the text's not perfect. Not bad though. I mean, overall, if you're looking for, for an infographic to be able to do this pretty quickly, I was still pretty impressed by it. I tried this a few more times. So I tried another prompt. This one just got into a loading loop and we just never quite got this image. This has been loading since yesterday. So let's see. I tried it again. Can you create an infographic similar style? I want it to be about a Google Ads setup guide. So basically let ChatGPT do all of the text. So Google Ads setup guide. This one was almost really good. And we probably could easily fix this. Just kind of update the way this looks at the top. Just put a little, cut off the text here and just redo the text, and this would be perfectly fine. Update my website down at the bottom. Just missed the 1 here. I don't know why we don't have a 1, but we got all the other numbers. Overall, really good for, a quick couple prompts and pretty close to exactly what I'd be looking for. One problem is this 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 4, 4 goes to 3, 3 goes to nowhere, 5 goes to 6, and 4 also goes to 6. So the arrows here were not anywhere near what I'd want them to be, but it was pretty good overall. Tried one more time, just basically, please don't cut it off. And they got this right. This was close, so this would be an easy fix. 1 to 2, 2 to 4, we still have the thing. 3 to 4, 4 to 6, 5 to 6, like the arrows, not quite right. Icons look really good. All the information looks good. This time it cut off the site at the bottom. I think when you're looking for like a long infographic with a lot of information, I still think ChatGPT struggles with that a little bit. But overall, I mean, this is still really impressive to me. When you think about where image generation was like even 1 year ago on this date, it's really impressive to be able to create something like this. And I've forever wanted the ability to create something like this because creating designs in Canva and other platforms can take forever. Okay, so let's do our next one. Again, one that works a lot better. Can you create an infographic about gut health? Sure. Could you tell me a bit more about what you want it to look like? So tone and style, format, content focus, target audience. Tone and style, medical themed, format, landscape, content focus, foods to eat, avoid, target audience, general public. So I figure they'll make it pretty simple. This is really good. I mean, it's pretty obvious, foods to eat and foods to avoid for better gut health, but for a quick infographic, if you're writing about gut health, if you're creating a video about gut health and you want just a quick image to show throughout your video, this would be a good quick image to show. So you could do 5 facts about gut health. Here's the foods to eat. Here's the foods to avoid. Here's, the best way to keep your gut healthy, and just kind of continue on that path. So creating content and having graphics like this pretty quickly and easily, I think the images are what impresses me the most, like processed foods, sweets, red meat, fried foods, yogurt, apple, broccoli, whole grains, just really good overall. I know it's basic, but to be able to prompt and get this quickly, I also think sometimes infographics are so kind of all over the place. Like I was pulling up some different examples and it's like some of these just have so much going on with them where it's like, is anybody really sitting and reading every little tiny aspect of this infographic? I don't know, probably some people, but some of these are just very, very detailed to the point where I'm like, a quick and easy gut health infographic could tell you a lot more, a lot quicker, even though it doesn't look like, some professional designer created it, a lot quicker than, some of these other infographics that have just a ton of information. This one was one where I went to Claude and I basically said, give me a random prompt for a random infographic that I can create using ChatGPT. This one was The Secret Life of House Dust, What's Really Living in Your Home, visualizes microscopic ecosystem found in household dust, mites, bacteria, fungi, pollen. So kind of gross, but let's come over here to our example. Use my prompt from Claude and the image was created. Secret Life of House Dust, What's Really in Your Home, perfect. This is perfect. Average composition. composition looks good. I don't know that the percentages are perfect. This one kind of looks closer to 50%. This looks closer to about 70% maybe, but yeah, and this is definitely more than 10%. Now, if you're looking at it quickly, probably not something you'd really think about too much. Health impacts look good. Reducing dust accumulation looks good. This is really the only issue down at the bottom. We have dust with a damp cloth, dust with that's supposed to be damp cloth, but they did that twice. Didn't quite get that right. Everything else is really good. This is something you'd easily just not show, and we'd have a quick and easy infographic created. So I would say one of my other takeaways is that a simple prompt and just basically not saying, I want it to contain this exact text could be a better way to do this. And one of the ways that we did in the beginning, where it was basically, okay, everything you know about responsive search ads, create me an infographic about it. That could be one of the ways to do it, where if you're prompting about specific information, if I start saying, please tell me about gut health, and then I say, okay, create me an infographic about gut health. They may prompt you with, what type of information you want on there, but overall, you're able to see how quickly you can create a nice graphic that you can present with your content. Next up, so I want you to create an infographic that uses all the text below. The text must fit. Please make it a professional infographic. So this is one that's kind of worked for me, is the text must all fit on the infographic. Please make sure you fit the text on the infographic. There should be 6 steps in the infographic. The text can be small to make sure it fits. Should be a vertical portrait size. You could see how many times I was prompting without getting the information to fit. So here's the text that we have. And this one actually came out really good. This was one of the ones I liked the best. I will show you what I did with it at the very end, and kind of the way that I would go about creating these in bulk if I was trying to create a lot of infographics and add them to my content, which could be a great way to update your existing content, your existing written content. Did the same thing for this one. This one I kind of messed up because I didn't do the right, I tried to do an image here. I did a file instead of the image. So it was an AVIF file and not an actual image. So they didn't know. Basically gave me the same thing, just a little bit different format. Pretty basic overall, but not bad. The one thing that impressed me with this is they imported this Google Ads logo. I didn't add that at all. That's something that they just added to it. So the context that ChatGPT can quickly gather and put on the image, always impressive to me. All right, this one was that one. So this one I got the image right. This was the image I said. I knew this would be difficult just because it's hard. It doesn't really, it's just a little bit confusing probably for ChatGPT, but I was like, let's just see what happens. So same exact thing about the Google ads, and it was close. We added a 6th one on the bottom here, create a Google ads account up here, kind of got a little bit off base, 2, 1, 4, 5, 5, 6. So clearly not anywhere near being able to use, but still, for a quick prompt and something that we could probably work with, not too bad overall. Last but not least, this will make more sense. So what I ended up doing, let me just make sure. Okay. What I ended up doing is I went into Canva and I said, okay, let's make this a little bigger. Why don't we try to take this image and just make some type of template that looks a little better? It's not perfect. I mean, when you're trying to just add graphics somewhere, and these might be graphics that you share potentially on social media, I figured this would be not a bad template for Surfside PPC. So Google Ads, we have our 6 steps here, surfsideppc.com, little black bar so we can see the text, and then a nice background. Just found a background on Canva. Same thing here. So I took the 5 Google Ads best practices. Remember, this was the one that said 1, 3, and 5. So you'll see there. Okay. And what I did is just basically block that one. Doesn't look perfect, but I don't think people look that closely at an infographic unless you're a designer. 5 Google Ads best practices, added the logo by itself. I did this icon here. I did this icon here. This icon I put in here. The other ones all were part of the image. All of the text was part of the image. And what I ended up doing was I went to ChatGPT and I said, can you create 10 marketing icons similar to the styles attached? So I just took screenshots of the existing infographic icons. So you'll see some of the ones there that we looked at. And then they created me some different ones. So this was actually like the perfect, because all of them kind of look like this, but I just didn't have anything video-wise that really worked. So I took a few of the different icons here, screenshotted them, added them to my design, and now we have 2 different infographics. You could create, I could create one of these per day within 5 to 10 minutes. So I think that's kind of the goal where you'd want to get to, is to a place where, okay, I can quickly create these infographics. They look nice. If I publish this on LinkedIn with a write-up, with some information, link it to a video that I have, this is kind of a perfect way to really create quick and easy graphics that are supporting content along with some of the existing content that we create. And as we try to repurpose for every possible channel to reach every person wherever they browse, this is a great way to do it. So wanted to quickly go over some ways to create infographics with Canva. Really liked using ChatGPT 4. There's a lot that you can do with it. I've spent hours and hours creating it or creating images with it. I really like kind of the marketing use cases. I'm not really, working with some of the things like comics, and, I've seen people create avatars of themselves. I've seen people create superhero versions of themselves and anime versions of themselves and all these things. Those ways are fun to use ChatGPT, but I always try to look at like, how can I use this to actually improve my marketing strategy? So some pretty cool examples here for infographics. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Thanks for watching my video today, and make sure you subscribe to the Surfside PPC YouTube channel.